Recently, when I was asked about the tragic occurrences in Minnesota where two people lost their lives, the best answer I could come up with was that none of it should have ever happened. I still believe that. But after stepping back, after more information came out, and after letting the magnitude of it all sink in, I think it's possible to explain why something like this was not just possible, but predictable.
Pablo el Molinero.
Operation Metro Surge began in December of 2025 and then expanded with the deployment of some 2,000 additional agents to the Minneapolis-St. Paul metro area. In January, 2 protesters were killed in separate incidents. Before I go any further, let me be absolutely clear. No one deserved to die. Not Renee Good, not Alex Preddy. This is not about justifying death. It's about understanding how chaos is created and why it is naive to believe that there is a single source responsible for those tragic events. One thing that has always bothered me is the inability to acknowledge any possible shared responsibility when something tragic like this happens. With the escalation of tensions, many observers believe that it was simply a matter of time before someone got killed, be it a protester or an ICE agent. I want to point out a repulsive trend that has developed in the last decade or so. Whenever there is a major tragedy like, say, a mass shooting, there is always a rush to find out which party or cause the shooter can be linked to so that people can begin to assign blame to their political opponents. Was the person white? Did he contribute to the Democrats? Did he have an Arabic-sounding name? You get the idea. You can almost hear some people holding their breath and thinking, "Oh, God, please let it be one of theirs." This wasn't the first time violence emerged. Beyond the violent confrontation in other states, I want to point out that from mid-2025 to the present, there have been no fewer than 6 shooting attempts against federal agents in Texas, Illinois, California, and New York State. In September of 2025, a sniper opened fire on an ICE field office in Dallas, Texas. It was believed that the intended targets were the ICE agents on the scene, but the shooter ended up killing 2 of the detainees and seriously wounding a third. When federal agents were deployed under the Operation Metro Storm, tensions were already high. Protesters believed federal action was unjust. Agents believed that their safety was under constant threat. There were violent confrontations, and federal agents were subjected to constant stress by citizens using ice whistles, shouting invectives, and by provoking physical standoffs. To be sure, the citizens were under stress too, by the agents' use of pepper spray, tear gas, and other crowd control tools. But the difference is that crowds of protesters actively sought out the agents, not the other way around. Many have argued that the purpose of creating such noisy, chaotic atmospheres, beyond preventing the arrest of the ICE agents' targets, was to produce a sensory overload, to put agents into a high-stress state, and by doing so, provoke errors in judgment by the officers. There was even a campaign known as No Sleep for ICE, whereby groups of protesters would go to hotels where ICE agents were housed and bombard the establishment all night long with loud noises, whistles, banging pots and pans, and amplified music. The purpose of the action was to deprive the officers of sleep and to pressure the hotels to cancel contracts to provide accommodation for the agents. In this supercharged atmosphere, stress levels on both sides compounded. Crowds grew louder and angrier. Officers became more concerned for their own safety. Eventually, mistakes became almost inevitable. That doesn't make anyone evil. It makes them human. In the next video, I want to look directly at the 2 shootings themselves, what we know, what we don't know, and why bad judgment is not the same thing as deserving to die. If you want to understand the full argument, you'll need all 3 parts, because pulling any one piece out of context guarantees misunderstanding. I shall post the second part tomorrow. This is Pablo el Molinero.